Hanukkah! Yes, I am one of those people. So today I'm going to be talking about the third and fourth books of the Hunchback Assignments series by Arthur Slade. So that's the Temple of Ruins, right? Yeah, the Temple of Ruins and the Island of Doom. And this video is going to be a little different today. I'm going to do like a short review of both of these first. And it's not going to be a very in-depth review because really, if you want to read, if you want to watch a review of this series, watch the reviews for the first and second book that I did, and I'll link them down below. Because basically everything you need to know about why these books are so incredibly awesome are in those reviews. And I'm actually going to use this video to kind of discuss and rant and gush about these books because apparently I really just need to gush about them. And so that's what this is going to be. I'm going to do a short, spoiler-free, just kind of short review on each of them first. So you can watch that and don't worry about it. But then I am going to warn you and I'm going to start going into spoilery things so that I can discuss this with other people who have actually read the books. And if you haven't read the books, you need to read them and then you can watch the video all the way through. But first, I have to read you my Hanukkah card. Happy Hanukkah and many menorah. It's so punny and I love it, so I had to share that. Okay, now on to the reviews. So the Empire of Ruins was really, really good. One of the things that Arthur Slade has done with kind of each of his books is he has taken a different sort of aspect of Victorian London as we think of it, and he's used it for his novels. I mean, for the first one, it was all set in London. It was very much a Victorian steampunk novel. The second one took place on a submarine. It was very much 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And this one is, they go on an English sort of adventure and excavation. So they go out into the middle of the wilderness and they're going on this very, very English expedition, and I don't know, it was very Victorian, it was very English. I absolutely adored it. Plus, Mr. Socrates. Mr. Socrates goes on an adventure, and I love that so much. Mr. Socrates was so much more involved. He got to go on the adventure. He was there a lot. We got to get to know him more, and Modo got to get to know him a lot more. And I absolutely adored that. This deals a lot with Modo, just kind of his development and dealing with his appearance. Because if you haven't read these, if you don't know anything about these books yet, is that Modo is a hunchback. He is deformed. He is ugly. I mean, he's like really ugly, and this is something that he has to deal with, and this is part of like his whole personality, his whole development. This is just his character, is he is ugly, and he thinks of himself as ugly, and he hates that he is ugly, and he kind of hates himself for that. What he can do is he can actually shapeshift. It's like the only person in the world that anybody knows can shapeshift, and Mr. Socrates discovered him and as an infant and decided to make him into a spy. So this is like all in like the first 20 pages of the very first book, so this is not spoiler stuff. Basically, he is an ugly hunchback, but he is a shapeshifter, so not a lot of people know that he's ugly. This deals just a lot with him dealing with that reality. All of the books have him dealing with this, but this really starts to show development in his personality about the fact that he is ugly, and him just really starting to really come to terms with it in a good way, like personal development, like wow. Plus, it was a really fun adventure. I mean, Egyptian pyramid in the Australian outback. What else do you need to know? This book gets 4 stars, and so does Island of Doom, actually. This is the conclusion of the Hunchback Assignments, and I really did like the conclusion. I loved the conclusion with one huge downside to the series, and that's just the fact that I want more, and more of it. I'm not ready to be done with it. For those of you who don't know, there is a graphic novel that Arthur Slade did. It's right here, and I have a copy of it, and you might still be able to buy copies of this. I'm not sure because there was only a limited amount, but I will definitely link you to that site so you can buy it if you want one. I haven't read this yet because I got it and then I went away and now I'm back and I haven't read it yet. But it looks absolutely amazing. This takes place in like an Old West kind of ghost town, I think. And oh my gosh, I'm so excited to read this. So whether or not Arthur Slade plans to do more stories in this universe, I don't know, but I really, really hope that he does. Basically, this is the conclusion of the series, and the main story of this is that the villainous organization that has been throughout the entire series is basically, they have found out Moto's secrets and they are starting to exploit them for their own purposes. They have basically started to create, Frankenstein monsters using his DNA. And that might be a little spoilery, but I mean, it's not terribly spoilery. The main thing of the story is that Moto finds out who his parents are, and he has to go and rescue his parents. And Colette from the Dark Deeps, the second book, comes back, which I was not expecting. I don't know why, but I was not expecting her to come back. And I'm really, really glad that she did, because her reappearance, her own personal development totally adds to Moto's personal development because of what happened at the end of book 2 between them. And I'm not going to say that because it's really spoilery, but because of what happened between them and because of how they've each developed since then, it just, like, it solidifies Moto's development, and it makes him the man that he becomes at the end of the story, which I really, really loved. But yeah, this one is like all Frankenstein-y, and it's got rescue missions, and so this one's really good. The Island of Doom. It's the conclusion of the series, and like I said, it gets 4 stars. So both of these are really, really good books. You guys need to read this series. I mean, if you haven't read this series, if you haven't heard of this series, I can excuse you for that, okay? But now that you've heard of this series, you need to go and read them now. And just go watch my review for the first book to just kind of explain what the whole series is about and why it's incredibly awesome. It's probably one of the best reviews I've ever done because it's probably one of the best books that I've ever read. One of the best concepts, one of the best ideas. It's really well written. It's a great story for all ages and guys and girls. I mean, the main character's a guy, but there's also a girl who does a lot of, who has a lot of point of view chapters. They kind of take off turns. And so I mean, this series is basically good for anybody and everybody. That's all there is to it. So now that I have totally gushed over this, this ends the spoiler-free part of the reviews, and now I'm just going to totally gush, okay?